episode 29 of the Operation Self-Reset podcast. What is going on, Resetters? Welcome back to Operation Self-Reset, the one and only podcast that can truly transform your life from the person you are right now to that person you strive, crave, and want to become. Like always, guys and girls, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. I got another great interview lined up for you guys, but I want to take a second before we dive into the interview about positive thinking and wearing positive thoughts. I wonder why I am saying that. But as you guys may know, if you guys have been listening to me for quite some time, I took about a month and a half off from this podcast. I stopped doing it for about a month and a half from, I believe it was September to mid to late October. And the reason I did that because I had a promotional exam that I wanted to study for and really dial in. I really wanted to get this promotion, and during this promotional process, there is a written exam and then there's a oral interview. And the oral interview has 3 portions that are broken down, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, long story short, throughout the last couple podcasts, I kind of shared tips and ideas and things that I have done personally to get myself prepared for this exam, such as visualization, such as power positions, and the things that I have done personally to kind of get the most output of my body. In the earlier podcast number 1, I talked about my personal history, and I do have ADHD. I do have a learning disability. I am not the sharpest tool in the shed, per se. And I know that if I want to do good on something when it comes to academics, I really need to be dedicated. I did flashcards, I highlighted, I did outlines, I typed up notes, and I also recorded myself on my computer, and I listened to myself when I went for walks, so I drove in the car, and after a while, I started to hate my voice. So it was pretty funny. But the reason why I bring this up is because I wanted to share the results with you guys. And the results are out of the 70 people that took this promotional exam, that went through the written exam and the oral interview, and they submitted some other paperwork, I was ranked number 1. Now, I'm not saying that to blow smoke up your behind and to impress you with my knowledge and, oh my gosh, Jake, you're an amazing person. But truly, the reason why I brought this up, and I just wanted to say thank you for the people that emailed me and all the support that I have received from you guys. Truly, in one of the last podcasts, I spoke of the 3 different types of people that surround you. There's supportive people, envious people, and then people that just don't care on what you do. And the people that are you guys listening right now, you guys are my supportive people, and you guys believe in me as I truly believe in you. And I say thank you. And if you are going through something, if you are going through a difficult time or a challenge or something, and you want somebody to give you, the little tip on how to get through certain things or whatever, I would love to hear it. I'm here for you guys. I'm supportive of you, whatever you need. If you need that a little extra motivation, if you need a little inspirational quote, let me know and I'll get that to you. Email me, support@operationselfreset.com. But the reason why, though, also I brought this up is because I never set out for this promotion to be number 1. I went out into this promotion or this idea of wanting this promotion because I wanted to achieve it for myself. I knew if I was in the top 20, I would get this job, but truly, I never thought I would be number 1. And I think the reason why, and I know the reason why I am number 1, is because of the things that I have been preaching on this podcast. They say if you say it, if you believe it, you'll become it, or however you want to say it. Truly, week after week after week, I sit on this podcast and I pour my heart and soul into it. I tell you guys why you are worthy, why you can believe in yourselves, why you are the best people or the best individual for your career path, for that family member, for that relative, whoever. And truly, I just want to say that the things I am saying do work. And in the coming year, I actually helped a woman personally get a promotional job for herself that she was freaking out about. She actually called me the morning of and was like, Jake, I need some help about this interview. Can you please send me something? I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote a nice little article to her. I submitted to her. I called her after the interview. We talked for a little bit. She said it went really good. And 3 weeks later, she got the job. And so not only did it work for somebody else, but it worked for me personally. So truly take my information for what it's worth. If you feel it's appropriate, if you want to try it, believe in it, whatever, go ahead. And because this stuff does work, believe in yourself, changing your mindset, just everything that encompasses this podcast, it works. Truly. I mean, the results for me personally, are out of this roof. And I'm not doing that to make myself, the guru of promotional exams. But it's truly, I'm just so thrilled and honored. And that's the only thing I can relate the outcome of this promotion is to what I'm preaching on this podcast. It has to be. There's nothing else, truly. I'll give you the secret sauce. Number one is work your butt off, which I did. And number two, believe in yourself, visualize, and prepare yourself mentally for the process. So whatever. We'll get more into that into a personal podcast, probably into the new year. But I want to take time today and talk about a company that I came across on Google, and it's called Think Positive Apparel. Crazy cool company. So it's basically taking positive affirmations, vibes, quotes, sayings, ideas, whatever, and encompassing those words into a logo form. And it's really cool stuff. And I personally bought a couple of t-shirts from them. I love them, good quality stuff. I reached out to the owners of this company, talked with them for a while, and I had to get them on the podcast because truly, you just don't find stuff like this all the time, especially about just staying positive and wearing positive things. And the reason why I'm so excited about wearing positive things is because if you want to achieve something personally in your own life, if that's maybe a dream house, or if you just want to become a healthier person, you want to be happy all the time, you need to surround yourself with those things, right? If you want that dream house, you're going to surround yourself with pictures of these houses or whatever it may be. If you want to become happier, you're going to remove negative things. You're going to paint your house, brighter colors. You're going to have positive sayings on your mirror when you're brushing your teeth or whatever. As you guys know, if you say it enough, if you believe it, you will truly become it. And that is why I had to talk to the owners of Think Positive Apparel. Here's the interview with them. I think you guys are going to get a great value out of this interview. And also, too, stay tuned to the end of the interview. They have a nice little discount for their products from thinkpositiveapparel.com. And here's the interview with this amazing company. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. I came across your work on Google, and as soon as I saw it, I love what you guys are doing. It's refreshing. It's a great way to kind of display your inner feelings. And tell us more about Think Positive Apparel and everything that it stands for.
Well, as you can guess, it's summed up in the word positivity, which I think could also be replaced with capability. The concept is that really, given any situation, there's a best possible outcome that we're all capable of achieving. And the question is, what's the best way to get there? And so Think Positive Apparel takes it, the answer to that to inside. The answer is within you. It's about your mindset. It's about the way that you are approaching things, whether it's from a calm, peaceful, focused place, or whether it's an agitated, antsy place. It's going to have different effects. And you can imagine if you're calm and focused that you're more likely to achieve whatever it is you're setting out to achieve. So we talk a lot about mindfulness, this concept of watching our thoughts, of recognizing when our ego is driving the ship and when we are taking the reins. And by simply taking the reins, often that's just letting go and just being super present. So those kind of things are kind of packed into every design through tiny little positive words that make up the images.
Yeah, you guys will have to go and check it out. Think Positive Apparel. It's really great work. Do you guys design the t-shirts yourself, or the ideas behind it?
Yeah, I do all the designs of the graphics, and then we pick out a variety of different stylish canvases, quote unquote, to present our art.
Sure. And tell us, how did you think about starting an apparel brand on the concept of thinking positive, believing yourself, everything that you just spoke of? Not every day does somebody think, I'm going to start a clothing brand and it's going to be about positivity. Can you give us a little more detail in the background of where this idea came from and why you kind of, went along with it?
Yeah. I think one of the most exciting things about what I'm currently doing with the positive apparel and just my life as a whole is really trying to apply this positive philosophy. And I can directly correlate the times that I have applied the philosophy and times that this company has either come into fruition or actually started growing and thriving. And so the story of beginning, for years I had made T-shirts for buddies just for fun, for weddings or birthdays or whatever.
Sure.
And it never crossed my mind that I would end up owning and running a apparel company. But when I became open and clear on what I wanted out of life as a whole, kind of paths started arising. And so really it's about quieting the mind like we were talking about before. As soon as I was able to kind of quiet my thoughts and kind of listen to my inner voice more, I was able to start kind of walking down the path of this whole project. And that's kind of maybe a little bit philosophical answer to the question. The bolts and the details of it are that a lifelong journey of positivity gained focus after seeing that movie What the Bleep Do We Know?
I've heard of it. I have not seen it. No.
Well, you should put it on your list. All
Okay.
your listeners should put it on their list. What the Bleep Do We Know? It's a documentary that looks at kind of the fringes of where science and philosophy are right up against each other. And one of the things they talk about is Dr. Emoto's water crystallization experiment. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, if you want me to run through it with you or not.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
So basically, he took a pitcher of distilled water and poured it into another glass and thought really negative thoughts and wrote hatred on it. And then took that same pitcher of water, the remainder part, and poured it into another glass and thought loving thoughts and wrote love on it, put them in the freezer, took them out, took slices of the ices and looked at the crystallization patterns. And they were different. And, whether or not this is a scientifically sound and repeatable experiment is beside the point.
Right.
The image and the concept that it left in my head and the potential for the metaphysical principles of thinking positively, of vibrating on a certain conscious level, and having it have physical ramifications intrigued me. And it's something that you see in other areas of life, right? Like the placebo effect.
Right.
How else could our thoughts about whether or not we're receiving a fake medicine have physical effects within our body, if not for a connection between the mind-body? Anyway, so this types of thing, intrigued me. And, if our thoughts are doing that to a glass of water potentially, and we're made of 60, 70% water, imagine what our thoughts are doing to ourselves. And so in the movie, the girl starts kind of like drawing on herself like these positive words. And we're like, ooh, we should make bodysuits of positive words up against our bodies. People can wear them under their clothes.
Yes.
And we scaled it back to T-shirts, tank tops.
Well, if you ever need somebody to model those, send me a leotard with the positive thoughts, and I'll display it.
We call them bodysuits.
Oh, sure. Awesome. Now, that is truly amazing stuff. Now, I really like that because I am one that was brought up with positive thoughts, and you kind of create, your minds create your future. Your mind, can create the outcome of your life. Now, how did you get into this? Was this something that you just dove into when you're younger? Or was it just something you found out recently about the whole positive mindset thing?
No, it's interesting. I've always considered myself to have a positive outlook on life, and I think most people that interact with me would agree with that from a young age. And I recognized I had like some of my earliest memories, at least philosophical memories, were recognizing that given any situation, there is a best possible result and a best possible outcome, and I'm capable of getting it. If I had enough information, if I had enough time, if I had enough energy, if I had enough of whatever, I could really achieve anything. And I remember thinking about that as a kid, and I think, the movie Groundhog Day?
Yes.
So he lives the same day over and over again, and the townspeople don't change. Nobody changes. He changes, right? And then ultimately he has the perfect day. He's been given the same amount of time. I mean, other than the information he acquired by reliving that day over and over again, like you could see how with enough planning and with the right mindset, you could look at any situation as what's really possible. And so that kind of like Groundhog Day philosophy, like I may not get it right every time, but there is a way to play today so that it's perfect. And just knowing that that was possible, I think I don't know, I think that really kind of shapes my whole reality, just kind of, given anything, I'm always like, oh yeah, there's a way to do this,
Yeah.
which has advantages and disadvantages, like all things. Um,
Yeah. So
anyway,
with
what was the
that,
original question?
so like, did you achieve this positive energy or mentality from your parents? Was it through your readings? Was it through just
Right.
some, traumatic event that you're like, wow, you know what? I can shape my future. Can you share that with us?
Yeah. So, I don't have like a specific event,
That's fine.
and
Yeah.
my parents are super awesome. I love them. I love my upbringing. I can't say though that there was like one specific thing or there's no like positive button that got pushed. It's probably a big combination of the nature and the nurture, the middle path that keeps showing up in literally everything throughout life. It's not all just my genes and it's not all just my experiences. There's some combination going on, and maybe undoubtedly my parents had a heavy hand in that. But the philosophy it was maybe always there or whatever it was. As long as I can remember, I remember kind of having this positive outlook. And then with that kind of thing tuned in, like I've got that radar turned on, let's say, and I kind of just become receptive to other things along that vein. And that's probably a radar that everybody's got turned on in some way. And so going through life, I came across a lot of different excellent teachers. And like I went to the University of Michigan and I had no idea what I was going to study. And I took a philosophy intro class, and then it was suddenly like, boom, wow, this is definitely what I'm going to be studying. And so I studied philosophy there, which really helped with a lot of things that I'm doing now in terms of the way that the philosophy is kind of presented, these different kind of arguments and cases and hypotheticals, and this logical philosophical dissertation that kind of gets put into the designs.
Yeah.
But then after I graduated from college, I ended up meeting Sifu Robert Brown at the School of Chinese Martial Arts in Berkeley, Michigan, and that was my first introduction into Eastern philosophies, which is quite honestly, a part of me feels like it's tragic in the sense that I had to wait until I was like 22 or 23 before I got introduced to any concepts of mindfulness, of meditation, of breathing, of any of that. It was totally through Sifu Brown and my experiences studying under him. And that was like another big turning point. So like all these layers just kept kind of getting added over time. And then I was doing real estate for a long time, and it just kind of presented, I guess, more and more opportunities to get clearer on what I want out of life as I was not enjoying the real estate path that I was on at the time.
Sure. Now, before we get into real estate and continuing on, philosophy, you are a very deep speaker. You really understand a lot and at a deep level. A lot of the people that are listening are in that rut of trying to figure out what to do with themselves. They might be in a toxic job. They're not enjoying where the life is going. There's things that are just not going well for them. And with your background and your knowledge and the things that you have experienced and what you put out there to the customers that come and view your products, that really enjoy the positive energy that comes off you, what could you share with somebody that is in a bad spot in their life currently? Somebody that's really looking for that reset button when it comes to their own personal life. Do you have any suggestions for them as a starting point and how to, a quick answer, to kind of live their life? Anything that you can think of?
Absolutely. And it's super simple, and anyone can do it really pretty much at any given time, unless you're underwater or in outer space. And that is to take a deep breath. And there's something magical that happens when you allow yourself to get calm and get present. And when you're operating in that mindset, which I do believe is the optimum mindset for a human being, it's totally present. And what comes out of you is this kind of natural flow. And depending on what you're working on, it's various amounts of energy are taken to get into that mindset. You can imagine if you were physically under attack, it would be really difficult if you hadn't been training for it to get calm and centered and deal with being attacked. Whereas if you're, at your job that you go to every day and things are really tough, but you love your job and you're in the moment and you're flowing and things are just coming at you and you're just handling it, it's a little easier for you to maybe slip into that mindset. So it comes down to kind of like feeding ourselves with the skills that when we get present and breathe, those are what come out. And so it's going to come down to filling your mind with the things you want. It's really easy to sit and say what you don't like about something, right? Like,
Right.
given any new idea or any new project, a group of people in the room, the first things that everyone's able to really do quick is be like, oh, well, this isn't going to work because of that, and that's a bad idea, and blah, 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 and all these crabs kind of
Right.
pulling people down back into the bucket. And however, if you come from a creation place, a positive kind of look at it and be like, okay, well, given, fine, those are true challenges to look at. But what do we want? What do we want this thing to do? So in our own lives, what don't you want? Yeah, you got to know that. You got to know what you don't like about your current situation. But what you really need to focus on day in and day out is what you do want in your life. And that was one of the big turning points in my life, was being able to recognize what I truly want, like getting clear. Anytime I've gotten clear in my life of something I wanted, not of the mechanism of how to get there, the individual steps, just clear on an end result. When I'm really clear on it, I can align myself and start drawing that forth, or whatever you want to call, whatever playbook language you want to use to call manifesting the things you want in your own life.
Sure.
I think as human beings, we are capable of doing that. We're getting, again, a little metaphysical. So, I don't know if that's for everyone, but the bottom line is, when in troubled times, when you want something different out of life, one of the first things you need to look at is doing things differently. And for the vast majority of us, at least I can speak from myself, no matter how great my upbringing was, it was fantastic. I loved it. I wasn't introduced to the number one most important thing for a human being, and that is learning how to get centered, get focused, how to use the breath, how to control the ego. And the ego will drive the ship if you let it. So taking the reins from the ego, discovery, and some people say destruction. I would say discovery and learning how to control the ego.
Yeah. Along with controlling your ego, you talked about quieting your thoughts. And I think before you even, taking control of your ego, I think it starts with believing in yourself and understanding that there is good to come out of the things that you want to accomplish in your life. And one of those things that always happens is, for example, diet. Everybody wants to lose weight or eat healthy, remove toxic food from their digestion. But the thing is, we all have that chatter within, just one last time, how do we quiet those voices, that inner chatter that's pulling us away from maybe our goal of, finding that those peaceful moments, taking those deep breaths, understanding positive thoughts. Do you have any suggestions for those type of people that have a very active mind?
Definitely. I would, number one, I think it's important to recognize those thoughts, the chatter, the endless stream of thoughts. That a lot of that is the ego. And the number one way to get good at anything is practicing, right? So how do we practice getting calm and centered? Meditation. And the way I learned it, again, originally from Sifu Robert Bound, was like a Zen type of meditation where you empty your thoughts, you clear all thoughts from your mind, you detach from your senses, and you're totally immersed in just being present. And there is nothing; you're just being. And the second you're like, "Oh my God, I'm doing it! I'm there," you're not doing it anymore because you're thinking. Right. Someone had a great shirt that said, "Meditation is not what you think." It's just like the Zen thought. So how do you get those thoughts out of your mind? Well, how do you get the dark out of a room?
Yes.
Do you shove the dark out of the room? Do you shovel it out? Do you push out? No, you replace it with light, right? So how do you get these thoughts out of our heads? How do we, you don't get them out. You let go of them. You replace them with a focus, a gentle focus on the breath, which, while is in a way a thought, the breath is intricately tied to the mind, and as the breath slows down, the mind slows down, and almost allows us to kind of slip into this calm, clear state. So meditation, the keys to meditation are to have a straight spine and to let go of thoughts. Picture them like a cloud passing through the sky. Have no energy that you're having the thought. Simply let it go and slip by.
Okay, for the people
And
that might be starting for the first time, do you focus on your breathing? Because if you just let your mind, try to imagine those clouds, sometimes people get distracted and they get thrown off. What would you say would be a good thing to kind of start getting in like rhythm with your breathing? Focus on your heart beating. Like, what's something that they can like really feel within their own personal body before they start imagining their problems dissipating or whatever? Do you have a tip for that?
Yeah, and I think I may have gotten things a little confused because visualization is very different than meditation.
Okay.
And it's not that we're visualizing our thoughts turning into things like the Zen meditation I'm talking about. Number one step, I would say, is sit comfortably. It doesn't matter whether you're sitting in a chair or whether you're sitting, full lotus on the floor. Just sit comfortable with your spine straight. You don't want to be lying down because you'll probably end up falling asleep. And with your spine straight, I would recommend before actually doing the meditation, which again is letting go of all thoughts and just totally being immersed in the present moment and detached from the senses, with some breathing exercises, which are a great way to oxygenate the blood and calm the mind. So you do 8 to 12 cycles of your favorite breathing exercise, which for me is triangular breathing. And I can go into some detail about that if you'd like to learn more. But whatever breathing exercise you choose, I recommend that's like a good stretch before going running, right? You want to warm your body up to what you're about to do. And using the breath, manipulating the breath into deep, slow breaths, totally oxygenating your blood, getting calm, getting centered, and then riding that into a meditative state. And maybe you start with just 5 minutes of meditation because sometimes it's difficult to sit still. And sitting still is one way to help kind of strengthen your will. Itches will come up and your leg may fall asleep or whatever. And it's just like, it's okay. Just be present. Let go of that thought. Refocus back on your gentle breath. You're no longer manipulating it. You're just breathing. You're just present. Gently focused on that breath. Oh, my ear itches. It's not going to kill me. Just let it go back to the breath, and if it's really bothering you, itch it, whatever, it's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
But you slowly start lengthening these little moments where you're not hanging on to anything, you're letting go of everything, and you're just kind of trying to expand that space. And so you can imagine how the better you get at being able to sit quietly alone in the dark and focus those thoughts, how that ability, that muscle that you're strengthening, will carry out into other areas where you want to be focused,
Sure. Yeah, no, you have some very deep. That's some crazy cool stuff because in some of my podcasts, I speak of, meditation is a key and it's tough, it's tough because a lot of people don't know the right way to go about meditating. Obviously there's 20 different ways to go about it. Your way seems kind of cool. You broke it down to a level I think that people that maybe are not used to it or never really tried it could give it a try, for 5 minutes, and talk about that breathing technique that you use when it comes to meditation.
Yeah, so it's called triangular breathing.
Okay.
And there's also quadrangular breathing. And really the difference is if you picture a triangle in your mind and you picture each side representing a different aspect of the breath. So you have the inhale, the hold, and then the exhale. And it's an equilateral triangle. So the inhale, let's say you inhale for 4 seconds, you would then hold for 4 seconds and then exhale for 4 seconds. And you're keeping this even. And maybe you do 4 seconds and then slowly bump it up to 10 seconds per side. Maybe you can do 30 seconds. Maybe you can only do 10. Whatever it is, you do it enough and you'll start to even the breath out as well. As you're consciously manipulating your breath and doing whatever exercise, you are developing the breathing muscles, which every day we breathe, all day we breathe. That's not the big deal. But breathing with purpose and taking in an incredible amount of air, that's something that you can increase your capacity. And being able to take in more air when you need to will serve you, in life. Anything active you're going to do, being able to breathe deeper. I could be speaking out of my element of expertise here, but one of the things besides the steroids that I think allegedly helped Lance Armstrong was that he had some irregularity where he could breathe, or he could oxygenate his blood better than some of the other athletes. And so there's a physical connection between how much oxygen we're able to get in and how our body performs.
Nice.
So practicing to breathe deeper and slowly developing it so you can breathe deeper, longer, will help you get meditations where you can go deeper and stay longer.
Sure. Now let's transform. That's really interesting information. I hope the people that are listening, you use that. Give it a try, because, like I said, a lot of people don't know. And then what they don't know, they're not going to try. So with these little, techniques, give it a try tonight. When you're sitting by yourself, use everything that we learned here, and let me know how it works out for you. But before we kind of continue with your philosophy and your way of life, let's talk about you and your discovery of finding the position you're in right now. You spoke of, going to college, and you got interested in about, Eastern philosophy, and everything was kind of coming together at a young age in your own personal life. And you said you went into real estate. That probably, obviously, was not your passion or your desire. How did you make that step from real estate, something that you didn't enjoy, and you probably maybe did some other jobs along that path, and then found your, I don't know if you want to call it your passion, but you're truly what you're really desire and what you believe in. Can you take us through that moment in your life?
Yeah. So real estate, I guess I should set it up and say that real estate started in a very different mindset than it ended for me. It was a lot more fun in the beginning. The first 4 years compared to the last 4 years for me were they were just different, and then that's kind of life sometimes. So as things started changing, and as I realized that this wasn't what I wanted to be doing for much longer, that transition is what I guess I'd like to talk about. Because it was a long ride. So we talked earlier about recognizing the chatter in our head, right? And recognizing it to be the ego.
Yes.
Well, a lot of times that chatter is running so incessantly, we don't even really pay attention to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's running in a way that it's maybe interrupting potentially some other clearer thoughts we're having about ourselves. If we recognize that chatter to be separate than ourselves, then who we really are and what we're really after, in a way, can be kind of blocked by this shield, this mask. And so it was, I would say, directly because of it was, I was in real estate, and then I got introduced to the kung fu and the meditation and everything. And it was a couple of years of really doing the work, because I had a great teacher. I had a great environment that I could go to repeatedly and get the reinforcement that I needed. To say, podcasters listen to this and do these breathing exercises and start meditating, that's great. And I really hope people do it. But for me, those types of sweeping changes I was able to implement because of an environment that supported it. And I think that's another key thing to include. If you recognize in your life that you think it will be beneficial to include meditation in it, then you will also be benefited by including other people in your life that are interested in keeping meditation in their life, or enrolling friends and family around you, having a support structure.
Right.
And so I had a strong support structure with Sifu Brown in the school and everything he was doing there. And it was a couple years of doing the work before I was really in a point where I was able to really recognize what was going on within me, and that I wasn't really happy with what I was doing, and that I could do something else. And even still, it was a few years before action was really taken. It's really easy to get comfortable, right?
Yes,
and to stick with what we quote unquote know, because it's quote unquote secure. As if there is such a thing, right?
Yes.
And so as I started kind of changing my mind by doing this work, I think that that's really what allowed me to get to a point where I could start becoming clear on what I wanted in my life and attracting those things towards me, or taking the steps towards them, or whatever you want to say is going on.
Right.
So in doing the real estate, in trying to think of, other things to do, a lot of different ideas came up. And through that, I just started learning all these new skills. Like, I had some real estate partners. So it was two buddies of mine from high school, and we had a lot of fun together. And we would always think of like different ideas. So we started we started training for a marathon. My wife enrolled me in doing that when we first met, and we were like, hey, there's no supplements out there for marathon runners. And so we started a supplement company. And it didn't go well. But what it did happen was I learned how to make websites. And so it's just kind of like all these different little things in life have been like kind of like leading up to this, that I was starting an internet-based apparel company.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I kind of had the same journey too, because I created a little invention, and I didn't know how to make a website, so I learned the same way, and now it really helps me because now I kind of know my way around a little bit more. And you're exactly right. The way that your life unfolds, you don't know it at that time, but when you look back, you can kind of see everything that's aligned, and go, okay, so that's why this happened during this point in my life or whatever. Yeah, that's really cool. But when it comes to changing your career path, a lot of the people that are listening are stuck. They're comfortable. They feel like it's a stable job, everything that you said. And you really believe that by the way that you kind of started thinking more positively, using everything that you have learned to improve your own life gave you, how should I say this, the momentum, or gave you the confidence to take that step away from your previous job, which was real estate, correct?
Absolutely. And it allowed, I would say, for me to even see the path, like not even see, to just be able to take that step on a path that like it created the path, like doing that work and getting clear on what I wanted, the path then arrived and was able for me to step forward. It wasn't like I started thinking about a t-shirt company, I started thinking about what I wanted in my life. And then once I got clear on that, the t-shirt company was just probably one of a million different mechanisms that could have come up. And this was the one that I felt good about, so I took the steps this way. And so it gets back to feeling, like if you picture a human being as, of the many things we are, potentially almost like an antenna for feeling, and so if we recognize that as one of our special features and we begin focusing on that and then becoming kind of aware of what are we feeling and why are we feeling that? What do we want to be feeling? And kind of approaching life from kind of that backdoor kind of perspective, kind of like behind the curtain maybe. I think that then the physical world maybe gets a little easier, like getting in touch with our emotions is a phrase that we understand, but okay, so how do we get in touch with our emotions? We get super present, right? We really we get by the ego that's interpreting these feelings for us or telling us what feelings we're having when maybe we're not even having them or whatever. If you cut through that and get to the real feelings of what you're feeling, then you can, start attracting the things you want in life. So cutting through all that, it gets all back to the breathing and the meditation. And why it was until I was 22 or 23 before that got turned on to me, like this principle, this universal principle for being a human being that's been around for thousands of years. Why isn't it being taught in our public schools, right alongside reading, writing, arithmetic, and breathing, learning how to be a human being, a antenna for a feeling, true feeling, not an ego feeling.
Right. No, I hear you, and I think Positive Apparel should start making school uniforms, and so you can start getting that into the public schools. No, I agree with you 110%. I grew up with a very positive, reinforcing father that kind of showed me and guided me to the person that I am, and that's why I really created this project, because I really believe that people need assistance in understanding the outcome of your life and your decisions. And you have learned so much. I have learned so much, and that's why I think it's really cool to be talking to people like yourself to share how you got on that path or that wavelength, and understand everything that's happening around you because of your breathing techniques and because of, finding, the philosophy that really opened your eyes to this new way of thinking. What is something though, because I kind of want to bring it back to the people that are listening, when it comes to deciding to change up their life, to shake up their life, to quit that job, whatever it may be, and you started, Think Positive Apparel, was there any negative people that were like, Come on, that's ridiculous. Starting an apparel company, that's hard in itself first. Second of all, you just want to do it about positive, words and everything like that. But you seem like the type of guy that you probably only surround yourself with individuals that really like you for who you are. So you're probably not getting any, anything from negative people in your life, or did you?
Well, negativity, it finds its way into,
Yeah, it does.
even I can be negative, I can have a horrible day, and
Right.
I can crab and be negative on someone else, even the owner of Think Positive Apparel, right? And so, yeah, look, it all comes back to taking responsibility for ourselves, okay? And yes, there are negative people out there, and there are people that we care and listen to in our own lives that are going to tell us, no, don't do that, or whatever, your idea is X, Y, or Z. But a lot of times, what's driving them? Why would they be saying that? Could their ego be flaring up, whether they
Sure.
know it or not? And now is my ego flaring up because their ego's flaring up? Like, it kind of gets into this like farcical like play, this drama that plays out that's not even us. These things are like that we're doing and saying. So it's kind of like if you can just kind of remember that it doesn't matter what these other people are saying, they're in your life and it may bother you to hear it, but you need to understand that if you really are coming from an egoless place, and if you're totally unattached to the outcome and you're just totally present and you feel like this is a good idea, that that's an indicator, go for
Yeah,
it.
right.
You gotta recognize that there are these programs that run us sometimes, okay? And I can refer to it as the ego. You can refer to it as you want, but if you look at it as like a computer program that kicks in based on whatever experiences you've had in your childhood that are playing out now or whatever, uh, those programs can either run us or we can become aware of them and cut them off. And doing that type of personal growth work is another huge thing that I would recommend anyone take on, which is recognizing where you are being run by programs. And as you start doing that work, you can start recognizing that other people are also being run by programs. And then you can kind of put into perspective, why would someone that loves you, that cared about you, that whatever is doing something that doesn't make sense, like this idea that you're so excited about, what's really going on? Why would they be talking about it that way? And this also gets back to like, for some reason there seems to be kind of a default position a lot of times where it's like, hey, new idea, attack, 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 that thing's new. Like, what's, it's just kind of like this initial agitated reaction that we all need to get by. And then as a leader of ourselves and others, if you do believe the idea is good, and if you do believe that this other person's counsel is important, can you help guide the conversation past their initial ego reaction into their true self and their true wisdom that they could then offer you, if you do want to pursue past whatever negative walls are being put up. So yeah, did I get some negative people in my lives that warned me of potential? Yeah, I don't have like strong memories of
Sure,
anything that
that's
like
fine.
held me up from that, but I'm sure it happened. And I think one of the reasons why I'm here now is because I was able to take them in stride
Yeah.
and recognize that I don't need their approval, and they're certainly not going to be running this company. And a lot of times, and this is communication is such a funny thing. Modest Mouse has a lyric that says, "Language is the liquid that we're all dissolved in, great for solving problems after it has created a problem," right? Like,
Yeah.
so if somebody's negging your idea, they're negatively attacking you, if it is a good idea, maybe you just didn't communicate it right. Maybe they're just not understanding it, like. And so when I talk about these designs, it's easy to say, oh, all my designs are made of little positive words. And it's really easy for someone else to be like, oh, well, I would never wear an affirmation on my shirt, blasting it to everybody else to see. And it's like, okay, well, that's not really exactly what's going on, like, so it's just kind of like communicating clearly, taking leadership and responsibility for how we may be able to communicate better, and also for where the ego is showing up in our own lives and potentially in others, and letting go of judgment of ourselves, others, all this stuff, like these principles that come up probably in just so many different ways in our lives.
Yeah. To kind of wrap up the conversation, this is Operation Self Reset, transforming your life from the person you are right now to the person that you want to become. We already talked about the breathing technique. What is something, though, you could share with somebody that really wants to take their life to that new level, to really do a reset? Final kind of quotations from you, I guess, about resetting your life. Do you have a final suggestion on a way to transform oneself?
The short answer is through the breath.
Okay.
Through the breath and through mindfulness.
Cool.
The longer answer is find a good teacher. Create an environment that supports what you're doing. And there are some fantastic teachers out there, including programs. I don't know if you ever talk about personal growth.
Yes.
But there are personal growth places out there. Some of the big ones like Landmark. I've never done that one. I did one called PSI. And it was just like a turbo boost weekend, like if we remove judgment, if we recognize that life is about the journey, not about the destination, then it doesn't really matter how fast we get to where we're going, right? But if you do want to include, like, now I want better skills to communicate, I want better understanding of what's running me, whether it's a program or whether it's myself or when's what, then take a weekend out of your life and go do one of those seminars. And
yeah, I agree with you. It's a great way to get around like-minded people that really are. You're in that moment. You really get recharged after that weekend. I've done numerous of them. I highly suggest it to everybody. And you know what? The number one thing that comes up, people go, "Well, I don't have the money. I don't have the time." But you truly do. The thing is, you need to set it aside for yourself. But that's one of the things. Now, how can people get a hold of you and your company and everything that's going on your side?
They can go to our website. ThinkPositiveApparel.com, and apparel is APPAREL, one of the many things I learned in this company. And you can also find us if you're in San Diego. This is where we're based. We do local farmers markets on Saturdays. We're in Little Italy. On Sundays at Hillcrest. And we started in Phoenix, and we have a buddy that runs our stuff out there. So if you're in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area, you can find us at markets out there.
Cool.
And I'd like to offer for your listeners a coupon of 10% off if they go to our website and purchase and put in the coupon code of SELF-RESET.
Awesome. Thank you. That is awesome. Everybody, you need to go to thinkpositiveapparel.com. Check that out. It's great stuff. Truly, when I stumbled across it, I emailed you guys pretty much instantly. And I said, hey, I got to talk to you and figure out what you guys are all about. And yeah, great talk. Very enlightening. You have a lot of great insight on life and the way everything works. And I appreciate you sharing that with the OSR community. And also, too, are you guys on any social media like Facebook or Twitter?
Yeah, definitely. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We do some videos on positivity.
Cool. And lastly, how about what is your favorite shirt that you guys have produced?
My personal favorite is probably the Buddha shirt.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look on the website, but it's a little Buddha meditating and this blast of words coming out from him, and they're all different quotations from Buddha, mostly on mindfulness, cultivating happiness, and I just visually, I really like looking into it. It's fun.
Yeah, I saw that one too, and that is awesome. I'm telling you guys, if you have a chance, go to thinkpositiveapparel.com and check it out. Hey, thank you so much for your time. I wish you guys nothing but the best in the future, and hopefully we can get you back on for a take 2.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks to Taylor Lapidus for taking the time and joining us on the Operation Self Reset podcast. You guys can go check out his company, him and his wife's company, at thinkpositiveapparel.com. Also, too, make sure to use that discount, 10% off Self Reset. Just enter that into the coupon area on the website. Like I said, I already bought 2 shirts from them. Love them. They're that like soft, stretchy, good quality t-shirt. I'm kind of a t-shirt fiend. I actually really just like a nice collar. It's kind of like the Hanes commercial. I don't like the bacon neck. So if you guys have a second, make sure and go check them out. Also, too, they got some videos out there and everything like that. So, and a fan book page and things of that such. And going along with our positive theme, there's a book that I just read. It's called Positive Addiction. It's by William Glasner, and it's a quick read. I actually got the Audible format, and he has a quote in here that I think is really powerful. It's called, and it goes like this. He says, "If positive addiction makes us strong, as I claim it does, then the brain of a person who is positively addicted has more options than it had before it reached positive addiction." So basically, it's saying if you're positively addicted in everything that you do, you're always thinking about it, you'll have more options when it comes to life, your job, your family, and everything that surrounds yourself. So if you would like to get this book for free, a free Audible download, head on over to audibletrial.com/OSR and type in positively addicted, and you can get this book for free. Anytime you sign up to Audible, you get a free download of one of the million books out there, and this is a really cool one. I have both versions, the actual physical book and the Audible version, and it's just really really inspiring. It keeps you motivated to think on the coin side of, or the positive side of the coin when it comes to just getting the most out of your life personally. So thank you again for joining us on the Operation Self Reset podcast. This is Christmas week. I hope you and your family have an amazing Christmas. I hope you guys enjoy the heck out of one another. And also too, I'm going to enjoy myself. I actually dress up as Santa every single year for my nieces and nephews, and they dance, or they clap their hands, and I dance for them. And my nephew, he is 4 years old now, and he always does the Santa dance because he can't wait. And the Santa dance is where you put your hands right by your toes, and you stick your butt up, and you just bob to the music. And it's called the Santa dance. I know, it's ridiculous. The things I'm teaching these kids is not right, but either way, hey, it's family. You can have fun with it, right? So take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for joining me on the Operation Self Reset podcast. Can't wait to hear you guys, see you guys, and talk to you guys in the coming up weeks, especially here in the new year. Enjoy everything, enjoy life. And as we all know, Christmas can go really fast. So take a second and literally drink it in. Just enjoy the moments. Don't think about, oh, we have to be here at 5 and then go there at 7. And next thing you know, the night's over with and you're like, whoa, that went really fast. Enjoy everything about it. Christmas is a wonderful time of the year, and I'm here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We already got 10 inches of snow on the ground, so it's truly going to be a white Christmas here. So thanks so much again. Take care, and we will talk to you soon.